Dinara Auyelbekova is the founder of the Girls Power Fund. Welcome to our first episode, Dinara.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be your first guest on your podcast.
You founded Girls Power Fund already 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Can you tell a bit more about the fund and your work?
It started during the COVID times because there was a huge increase in domestic violence and domestic abuse in Kazakhstan, and I think all over the world, because people and women especially were trapped inside their houses with their abusers and they had nowhere to go. And I was reading articles about these instances every day in social media, in newspapers. And I was thinking, what can I do about that? And I also thought about my nieces, my cousins, my female cousins who live in the regions of Kazakhstan and who doesn't have access to resources like I did in a bigger city. So I saw what I can do, and it started from me asking my 5 friends to volunteer, and they did sessions on how to pursue a career in STEM. And at that time we didn't have a paid Zoom, so sessions were only 40 minutes long, because at 40 minutes the free Zoom cuts you off. And we found 20 girls through Instagram and Telegram, high school students from Kazakhstan, from different regions. We invited them to these Zoom sessions, and this is how it all started. And 5 years later, we raised thousands of dollars in grants. We worked with USAID, with UNDP, and we helped more than 1,000 girls and women across Central Asia. So if anyone wants to start their fund, it doesn't have to start big. It's just collecting your close friends, asking them or forcing them to volunteer and do stuff even online, because it's cheaper and it's easier to start.
Very inspiring, Dinara.
Thank you.
Something that we'll ask all of our guests in the future is about their dreams. And since we talked a little bit about your work, who did you really want to become when you were little?
When I was little, I wanted to become a teacher, and I was making my younger siblings to play school where I would be a teacher and they would be students. And I really like to teach and to share the expertise that I had at 8 years old. It was my dream to become a teacher.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Incredible. But so what event, what happened really that you changed your mind?
I think I realized that teachers don't have enough influence, and they don't have enough financial stability, because in Kazakhstan it's not considered privileged or a nice profession where you can earn good money or you can sustain your family, and the system doesn't encourage teachers to be creative and to be free, so they are trapped in this governmental system. They have to follow the rigid plans of the Ministry of Education. And I am a rebel by my nature, and I like doing stuff on my own. I don't like to have bosses. I think I still teach, but in a way that benefits me, and in a way where I can be free and more creative.
Teacher is such an honorable profession. It's true that in many countries it's not as high paid, really.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I can see the desire from you for wanting to make the change, right?
Yeah.
And teacher is also one way of doing it, to create this long-term impact on the new generation. It's something you're doing with your project as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Something I'm also interested in, you talked a little bit about it, it's scaling the initiative, right? I know that you started from from how many? From 20?
Yeah, from 20 participants.
Yes, and right now it's?
1,000.
1,000. Wow, how did that happen?
I think in order to have a scale, you need to scale your finances first, and I really believe that nonprofits have to find the sustainable way to receive funds, and it doesn't have to be grants. You can make some commercial parts, and you can diversify your income streams. The more money you have, the more people you can hire, the more trainers you can hire, and the more impact you can make. So I really believe that finances are at the center. And yes, you can find volunteers. Yes, you can work voluntarily, but not for 5 years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people burn out because of that.
So I wanted also to talk to you a little bit about impact that you're making, right? You said that right now you have 1,000 of young women being impacted by your programs. That's fantastic. But what does this impact is for you? How do you measure it in terms of numbers on one side? What are the indicators you are trying to meet for donors or for pitches? And then what is beyond the numbers? What is success for you?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question, and that's the second biggest struggle after fundraising is monitoring and evaluation. Because on the one hand, you can cover a lot of people, but on the very like shallow basic level, or if you can make a deeper impact, but only with like a small limited amount of people. It's always about a trade-off. And I remember like the first grants that we had, I had to Google what is monitoring and evaluation, what is indicators, how it's all done. And I had to learn on the go.
Right.
And sometimes I have to like make up something because I didn't like fully understand what it is. For a person who doesn't come from this sphere and doesn't have like a formal education in running nonprofits, I was like shocked. I still remember that I hated these tables with monitoring and evaluation and indicators. But we always try to balance between like qualitative and quantitative results that we have. And it always depends on the requirements that we have from donors. And we try to talk and explain to them like, if you guys want to have like 3,000 people, we can't do it for like $50,000. And if you want to have a deeper impact, we will have to limit the amount of participants. So far, we've been lucky, and we had an understanding donors and sponsors who can understand the trade-off and can realize that we are working only for like with 40 people in the program, but we make a huge impact with them. And I think you have to always balance it out, and you have to talk it out. It's not like accepting everything, all the rules and all the requirements from the donor if it's not comfortable for you, and you know your people better than any donor. You know what they need. You know how it works with them. Sometimes people want to have innovative programs about AI or machine learning and stuff.
Yes.
But girls come to me and they say like, can you hire a tutor so that I can pass my math exam or like my physics exam? Because my parents make me to watch over like household and my siblings. I feel stupid at school when we're doing like mock tests or exams, and I feel like left behind, and I just need a math tutor. I don't need your AI and machine learning and STEM and project-based stuff. I just need that. So we're always trying to have these conversations with our participants through social media or like personally, and then we like explain to donors like, hey, actually this is what they need. They don't need like 21st century life skills and
Those
stuff.
sexy topics.
Yeah, no sexy and like hot topics, and they just need like some basic stuff that they can't get right now, and this will put them in a better position, and that can build a foundation so that later on they can build up and do more hot stuff.
So you're almost as a messenger between your local community, right?
Yeah.
And then those global organizations or foundations.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's always so easy to just
Definitely.
come,
And
tell.
it's not always perfect. It's not
No.
always perfect, and you can't make everyone happy at the same time. Sometimes I have to upset my donors, or like sometimes I have to upset my participants, and a lot of people complain that they wanted this and they wanted that, and I'm like, I'm not a Santa. I can't do it all, and like sometimes you only can go so far, and that's okay too. It's better to do at least like 20 or 30% than to do nothing. So I think you always have to balance it and like to make it in the realm of possibility, because sometimes people look for impossible results. Perfectionism makes them stuck in the very beginning because they want to have this ideal program, all the girls in the world to be happy and healthy and stuff, but it's impossible. Like, work with 10 girls that you have, like share the knowledge that you have at that moment, share the resources that you have, and then it will like roll as a snowball, and it will bring more impact.
I know that your own organization, Girls Power Fund, right? It's named one of the top initiatives in Central Asia in the Caucasus.
Yeah, it was an award by Women in Tech, and it's a huge honor. And we had a lot of this kind of accolades. Like I was chosen as a young global changer, as an Obama scholar, as the top most impactful initiatives.
And these are all amazing achievements.
Yeah,
honestly.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you have to apply. First, you have to apply for these possibilities and opportunities, and then this is only things that I got, but you don't know like 50 or 1,000 rejections that I had in between of the achievements. And I feel like it's important to talk about that as well, because I get a lot more rejections than achievements, and it's okay to get rejections. It's more about effort, resilience.
I don't know. It's not so popular to share your rejections these days, right?
Yeah,
you share your achievements.
Yes. But we have to change that. I hope that this podcast can like share about rejections as well, and like hard times.
What was your biggest rejection? Or something that you truly wanted and it didn't happen?
Yeah, I think like the recent one is there is one program called Yale World Fellow. I applied for 2 years in a row, and I got rejected for 2 years, and I was really upset about that, because you spend a lot of time for the application, and then you feel like I wasted this time for nothing.
Dinara, you would be laughing, but I applied to it also last year.
Someday we are gonna get it.
Exactly.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year.
We'll just continue applying.
We'll just continue applying, and we'll just continue building the impact. So like I learned from all the profiles of people who got in.
Yeah.
And I'm filling the gaps, like, oh, maybe I need more work with the government, maybe I need more work with this organization, maybe we need to have more participants, and like fill the gaps in order to get there.
Okay, real quick. A lot of people ask us how to stand out when you're young and you're trying to break into high-level careers in diplomacy or public sector use. We all know that university gets you the knowledge, but the real network gets you the opportunities. That's where Twin comes in. It's a mentorship platform designed like an exclusive inner circle for high potential youth. Take a quick assessment, outline what you want to achieve, and Twin matches you with mentors who review your pitch and guide you through the project. It eliminates all doubts in building a career. So don't wait around. Join twinmentorship.com or click the link below to apply for access.
How did you start this path, basically? How did your first fundraising pitch look like? What went wrong? What were the lessons that you learned? Any advice?
Yeah, so I still remember how we got our first $3,000 for the grant and for the programs that we had. It was from an organization called Innovation for Change. I wrote several proposals, and we raised $22,000 in 3 months after the opening of the fund. You have to rely on your network, because if you're doing like cold proposals and no one knows you in that organization, it's very hard to raise money. So that is why it's important to network, it's important to get these connections, it's important to ask people to introduce you to someone and be proactive in order to raise funds. And even if in Kazakhstan the philanthropy is not as huge as, for example, in the States or in Europe, I still somehow managed to raise money, because I really believe in this cause, and I think other people can see it and they can feel it. So mindset and your personal passion plays a huge role as well.
Definitely. I see it so much with activists. In general, as a professional, I think in this era, you have to build this brand of yourself. It's almost like you're selling something. You need to be visible and out there as much as possible. I wanted to ask you also, how do you build your own brand, and what would you recommend to others?
I think the first and the most important thing is storytelling, because you have to tell a story. And telling a story of how you were born, or like how you got into this field and into this industry, I think it's very interesting for people to hear the stories, because stories were there during like the cave times. People are used to stories. Their subconscious is wired for stories, and it's interesting to hear stories. And you have to learn the storytelling. And the second one is public speaking. Maybe like there is an organization called Toastmasters. It's all around the world. It's free of charge, and you can go there and they will teach you how to present yourself, how to do public speaking. There are a lot of resources and you just have to use them. And the more you practice, the better it gets.
Yes.
This is like my, I don't know, 10th podcast, and the first podcast was definitely not like this. I was like stumbling and shaking and saying the wrong words and like cutting a lot of, editing a lot of stuff that I said. But now, like after 10th time, it feels more natural, and I know that repetition is and practicing is the key for any success.
So about social media, how do you translate hard topics as women's empowerment or democracy promotion, something like this, into social media content that really doesn't like really essays?
Yeah, I think like people take themselves too seriously, or they take their content too seriously, and they have to have this perfect image, like the perfect lighting, the perfect skin, and the perfect outfit. And for me, if I'm like running on a treadmill and I have some idea, I just shoot it and I say whatever I feel like from one take, because I don't want to edit and I don't have time to edit all the ideas that I have, because I will never post them otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, so I feel like people need to like take them less seriously and share the content that they want to, and the people that enjoys this content, maybe it's not going to be viral and you won't get like million views, but if you're sincere, maybe 20,000 people will watch that and they will see that. And also I draw inspiration from the feedback that I get from my participants when they tell me like, oh, you inspired me to look differently at my marriage, or you inspired me to apply for this program. Or sometimes people like send me the opportunity and they say, oh, you need to apply for this fellowship or like you need to apply for this grant. And I really like that it works both ways, and I feel like people need to just do it.
Be authentic.
Yeah, be authentic and don't think about other people's opinions or how it will be perceived, or oh, they're gonna see a stain in my shirt, or my hair is not hearing today. I mean, like no one cares about that. People like to see your vibe, to see your message, and if it resonates with them, you will be like popular.
Then they will be following you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And you mentioned many different challenges that you saw on your path. So can you talk a little bit more about some of them?
Yeah, I think the main struggle we already covered, the fundraising stuff, but I also feel like burnout for leaders is also a very important topic that not many people speak about, because you give a lot, like you give out to your community, and then you give out to your colleagues and the team that you work with, and then you give out to the sponsorships, and then you have to participate in different kind of educations. But sometimes when you go all out, you don't have anything saved for yourself, and at this point you're like, okay, I don't want to do any of that thing. I'm done. Cut. We're done here, and I don't want to do this. I'm gonna.
And what do you do then? Do you take a break? Or?
Yeah, I think it's important to take breaks, and it's important not to lead to that kind of burnouts, and to notice it in the beginning, where you can like take a break and reflect and ask for help instead of like pushing and going all the way when you're already done. Yeah.
There are studies that say that many like, directors or managers, executives say that they are lonely when you're at the top left with decision making, right?
Yeah.
You're that last instance that have to make them all.
Yeah.
But you have a team. Do you rely on them a lot?
Yeah, I do rely on them a lot, but I also can relate to this loneliness, because you can't always share your vulnerability with your team, because you have to make a final like call or take a final responsibility. That is why I think the organizations and events like yours, Democracy Network, is so important, because you can talk with other fellows and they will share and they'll tell, oh, you know, I had this problem with my staff, or I had this problem in fundraising, and you can talk it through, And these are the only people who can relate, because all of my friends, they work in corporations and they have stable jobs, and
The boring ones,
yeah,
that
the
you
boring
said.
ones, yeah. The only people who can understand you is in this network, and who build the same stuff and who go through the same journey. And when I first attended this kind of events, I heard that some people also get rejections, and like they get 10 rejections for one yes for their proposals. And I was like, I felt such a relief, because I thought it's only me who gets a lot of rejections, who can't like raise enough money, who struggles with all the things that leaders go through. So I think it's important to talk it out and to seek for support, and to have this community of other leaders who can help you and who can direct you, to have mentors and go through this kind of trainings and receive this kind of education, which will help you to fill the gaps.
Right, that's exactly what we try to do with the Youth Democracy Network, with this meeting. We're going to do this in different regions as well, just to have that peer exchange really, and seeing each other face to face, support as much as possible. I think these days the issue with mental health is something that our generation speaks more and more about, and freely. It's quite encouraging.
Yeah, and I think especially for leaders and for people who lead nonprofits or companies, they can be seen as weak, like especially women. They would say like, oh, she's emotional, she's in a breakdown, or she's in a burnout, she cried, and she can't be trusted with like money or projects or anything. So I feel like we need to change that, and we need to realize that we are all people and we have feelings, and we have, like, sometimes we want to cry, and it doesn't mean that you're less of a professional or that you can't do your job just because you have feelings and you are going through something.
What would you recommend to students, for example, who cannot necessarily apply to all of these high-level programs, right?
Yeah.
But where to start with networking or some programs?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of programs for students, and actually 10 years ago, when I was a student, I also came to Japan for the first time. And
Oh, so it's not your first time.
Yeah, it's my second time in Japan, and that was the program called Mirai, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan invites like students from all over the world to experience a life in Japan for 10 days, and they cover all of your expenses. And this program is still ongoing. I had the privilege to live in a Japanese host family and like go to a lot of like great sightseeing and to explore the city. And I feel like when you're a student, you have more opportunities because now I feel I'm too old. All the opportunities are for people from 18 to 30, and now I'm 33. Even like Youth Democracy Network is under 32, and we were like taking a long time together.
Yes.
So I got like into my 33rd year of life. So I feel like
We'll
students,
keep you for a bit.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I feel like you just need to find the resources, use ChatGPT, and find the programs that are designed for students. And when you're a student, you don't have a family, you don't have any responsibility, you don't have a full-time work. You can ask your like teachers, like you can't go when you have a full-time job. You can't go to like, I don't know, Switzerland for an internship for a month. But when you're a student, it's more relaxed, and you have a lot of time for applying and participating in this kind of programs.
And talking about different tools or resources beyond, right, meeting people and networking, where do you learn from?
I think I learn from different sources. So I am not only limited to like nonprofit programs, because I feel like a lot of programs are outdated and they are not up to date with the challenges of the world that we're facing now. So I learn a lot from the startup community. Again, like they know how to monetize their product, they are more sustainable in funding, they are more innovative, and I try to draw a lot from the startup community and from the tech startups.
What would be an example of that?
One example of that can be using AI or no code for building apps.
Right.
Yeah, so we try to teach this kind of stuff for our participants that are applicable, that they can monetize later on, and that they can use for the betterment of the society. We had one program, it's called Arduino for social projects. So girls got the basic kit for the robotics, and they worked with this kit in order to solve some problems in their communities, like with floods. So they created some small buttons that can warn people about floods in their area. It's very low key, it's very basic, but I think like this is how it starts. Maybe like 5 years later, they will develop it into a bigger project.
There's so much to learn from private sector, from businesses, right?
Exactly, yeah. We don't have to see them like as enemies or like, oh, these capitalist corporations that like ruin the world and stuff like that. I think we all need to collaborate like with government and the private sector and the non-profit sector, because I feel like this synergy gives the best results.
We discussed so much today, moving into a future a little bit about your vision. Is it hopeful if you're looking at the world and democracy?
Yeah, I think everyone should be hopeful, because otherwise there is no point in doing the work that you do. Of course, there are like some bad days for all of us when the hope is like decreasing. But I feel like you need to find that within yourself. You need to find it from inside, not to look for proof outside or like for external validation or for like people to praise you or say that, oh, you're doing a great job. You have to cultivate this hope from within, and you have to find this hope from within.
Beautiful. And to close out this episode, let's do a lightning round of questions with you. So there will be one question and a short answer. What gave you that first big push?
My mom.
I can relate. Most underrated leadership trait?
Resilience.
Your non-negotiable daily habit?
Going to sleep at 11 and waking up at 6.
Wow. A social cause that always breaks your heart?
Girls' rights.
And if your life was a movie, what would be the title?
The Trailblazer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dinara, for joining us today for this episode.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.